Shir Ilu Nishmas, Yosef Ben Shlomo Zalman, Ilu Nishama. So let's make a quick recap with a little bit of a little additions, a little recap with a bit of additions, and try to clarify over here, as this is certainly a very big sugya in the local Maisa, like I mentioned, and it's very negaya. I was very negaya. Like I opened up my freezer today, and just to see if I was, sometimes you say something you don't know if it's really negaya. You open up the freezer and you see over there this raw chopped meat, this raw chicken, this cooked food which is raw. The freezer is a real a breeding ground for this stuff. All the raw foods and everything. So we have to try today to clarify what I'll be allowed to move around, rummaging, and if Khalila, the freezer breaks. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, Rabbi Cooper reminded me to mention, that all the years I say that in the Lamaisa, if the freezer breaks, Lamaisa, if you keep the freezer closed, no shaila in the morning if it breaks, and you come down in the morning, you come outside the kitchen, you see that the freezer is like stopped or whatever. If you keep it closed and don't open it for 24 hours, no shaila, everything's going to be okay. There's no shaila. And do I take achrayas? Of course not. Why would I take achrayas? But l'maisa, there's no shaila that's a mistake. Certainly, if it happens in the day, in the afternoon, the l'maisa is a 24-hour guarantee. That, of course, I won't guarantee. But al kapanim, that's time. You have to know, and therefore, instead of getting nervous and trying to get a guy and maybe being certain assignment on certain coolers in muksa, just keep the thing closed and the vet good. Daven, you should also daven, but the vet good. That's first of all. So second of all, that's number one. Number two is that yesterday we saw two major shitas over here, two major shitas in the sugya of our sugya over here, two major shitas within the sugya of raw meat. Thank you so much. Did you ask him? You asked him or no? No, I'm sorry. Okay. We saw two major shitas over here in the Indian. Two major shitas. One is the sheet of the Taz. I'll call it the sheet of the Taz. He has friends also. The Taz, the Shver is involved also. But two major shitas. I hope that was for me, not for you. Otherwise, that wasn't cool. But I know you, Shlomo. It was for me. I knew it was coming. Yeah, I knew it was coming. The suffix was that at first I knew it was coming. When I made the bracha, I knew it was coming. And then afterward, once I made the bracha already, so then I didn't know if it was coming anymore. Understand? But it doesn't matter. It goes back to the shasa bracha. Anybody understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. The guys are learning brachas with me in the morning are for sure going to talk about me tomorrow morning. But okay. So the Taz, the first major sheet is the sheet of the Taz. What's the din of raw meat, chicken, all these zachin, not fish, but all these raw things? So the shita of the Taz is it's roy for dogs, so therefore it's mutter. It's roy for dogs, even though the dogs aren't going to eat it, even though you're not planning on giving it to the dogs. That's a shita of the Taz. You must remember this Taz, because when you learn through the Mishnah Berurah, you can very easily forget the Taz. He's mitzaref the Taz, and you don't realize how very, very negaya this Taz is, because it's going to be one of the major foundations of what we're going to be making. That means according to the Taz, it's game over. All the meats, all the chickens, we'll see maybe about fish. That's an Ander Shmuz. But according to the Taz, certainly meats, chickens is mutter 100% raw meats to move on Shabbos. We don't necessarily lechatchila paskin like the Taz, but we certainly are mitzaref the Taz. Okay, and I'll be mice of something that I did not say yesterday. The Shevet Levi, some of my things are in order, out of order. In Shevet Levi, didn't write where? Yeah, no, I did. No, I didn't write where? No, in the Shevet Levi, there it is. In Aleph, I can't read it now. It's there, but now we can't read it. Aleph Samech Beis, maybe it says Gimel. He says, you should know that there's a Gersa in the Gemara that doesn't bring down a differentiation between meat and fish. Yesterday I explained in the Gemara, there's a differentiation between meat and fish. That fish is taka for some reason aser, and meat is for some reason mutter. He says there's a shita within Taisus that doesn't even have that girsa, and therefore he puts all meats together, all chickens together, all fish together. Number one, and number two, this is Dayan Padva Chshav Eifed, Rav Padva from England in Aleph Nun in the 50th Simon. There he says, "Mamish, what I asked yesterday." I said, "Look, Lamaisa, the cats they eat raw fish. That's it. Lamaisa, they eat raw fish. So in the end of the day, if the cats eat raw fish, the fact that the Paiskim Amashma, they didn't or did whatever, but the cats eat raw fish. So he says, in the end of the day, if you want to know the fishitas hataz, that the taz, everything is totally in. Do the animals eat the raw food? So the taz would be makel even on raw fish, which means just keep this all in mind before we get to the sugya. You always have to remember that b'shas hatchak is a sheet of taz that it's makel on everything, fish, meat, chicken, everything, because everything that's raw is edible, at least by a cat, at least by a dog. And therefore, we're going to have situations where the fridge breaks or this, that, or whatever. A piece of raw fish falls on the floor. Again, we'll see soon, obviously. Sushi, I haven't forgotten, as you see on my table. But just at least in Baghdad, right? A piece of raw fish fell out of the freezer 2,000 years ago. And there it is on the floor. Are you allowed to pick it up and put it back in the freezer? And also it could start defrosting and it could start smelling and this and that or whatever. The Maisa, you're hearing it here. Lefi the Taz, it's mutter. Even though it's not oimid for a dog or for a cat or whatever, the Taz holds if it's roi for an animal, that's already enough to take away the Shem Muksa. We're not making like the Taz, but b'shas hatchak, we're going to be mitzaref the Taz, and that you're going to see from Dayan Padva already. That's number one. Number two is the Mogen Avram. Mogen Avram is the I'd call it, I suppose, the Ikar Shita over here. You see from the Achrayim, the Mogen Avram is the Ikar Shita. The Mogen Avram says, well, it says in the Gemara, there's a chilik sufficient meat and fish. And he says, well, meat, which is soft meat is already considered edible by a person. I don't care that dogs could eat it. That's not what's going to be kaveya because you don't plan on giving it to the dog. And therefore, it's all dependent, can a person eat it? Says the Mogen Avram, since it's all dependent, can a person eat it? Therefore, it's only if it's a soft piece of raw meat. Soft raw meat is chicken, is goose, fowl, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe, I don't know, he doesn't say anything about lamb, but lamb, don't know, maybe lamb is also soft meat later. But Al-Kapanim, certainly not basar, bakar, basar, behema. The Mogen Avram says in the first that's not going to be roi for a person. There's a complication here in how to read the achreinim that are sviv the Mogen Avram. Let me explain this a minute. The Gemara says avza, the Gemara says goose. The Gemara says goose. I have a wonderful diak, a most wonderful diak. Why did the Gemara pick on goose? Okay, says the Mogen Avram. I'll tell you why. Because it's only a goose and not a basar behema. Should I show you it's a wonderful diak? He says it's only goose, which is a softer type of meat, and not a farm animal meat, which is a tougher type of meat. Should I prove to you it's a good diak? I mean, you could say, the Gemara could have just said the word basar, like the Shulchan Aruch said. Why did the Gemara have to say avza? No, it's not such a kasha. That's how the Gemara talks. Sometimes maybe it's not such a good diak. I'll prove to you it's a good diak. Right? Should I prove to you it's a good dick? Yes or no? What do you think? Right? So first I'll prove to you it's a bad dick. Right? The as a Mogen Avram. But first I'll prove to you it's a bad. Why does the Gemara differentiate a line later and say fish? No, that's not. The Girsa that we have fish, that's not edible by people. The way the Mogen Avram learns the Gemara, that's what the Gemara is saying. Basar of an animal, that's roi for people. Fish is not roi for people. Why don't you make a chilik minei bay within types of animal meat? Why don't you make a chilik and say goose meat? Yes. Animal meat, basar behema, whatever. Basar behema, no. It's mashma that goose was just an example. And the Gemara had to go and find like a whole different type of meat, a whole different type of flesh, fish, in order to show something which isn't right. And this is really the diak of many of the Akrainim against the Mogen Avram. Many of them are Akrainim against the Mogen Avram. But that's already a kasha. That means they say that if this bein basar behema, bein basar of goose, and all those things, that's already roi for a person. What's the difference if you go with this mahalach between basar behema and fish? What's the difference? If this mahalach, what's the difference? I mean, Maisa, we know that there's something going on over here, right? Because the Mogen Avram is saying most people don't eat raw meat at all. That's pashit. The Gemara Menachos says that only weird Babylonians, crazy Babylonians eat this. Nobody's eating raw meat. It's not such a normal thing. Right? That's first of all. So the Mogen Avram is saying that the raw meat, which is tough, that for sure no one's eating? What's the lumdus? Or it means, no, I think this is how I would understand. Nobody's eating any of this stuff. You want to know what's potentially possible to eat. Kach I understood the Gemara Avram. What's something that, like, I would say it like this. Let's say a person was desperate. He was mamish desperate. If he was desperate, he still wouldn't eat leaves and trees. It's just not food. It's not shaykh, right? If he was desperate, he would eat raw meat. If he had in front of him raw meat of goose, and he had in front of him raw meat of behem, again, we'll modernize in a moment. But if he had, this is how I understand the Mogen Avram at least. If he had in front of him raw meat of goose, or he had in front of him raw meat of a murdered cattle, So then he would more willingly say, I have the raw goose meat than to have the raw cattle because it's tough and difficult. It's a choking hazard for a reason, right? It's rubbery, it's hard, it's difficult to eat. It's very, very schwer. You're just like basically swallowing it. You're like chewing and swallowing. That's how I understand the difference. But in chicken, you're gonna chomp it up and you're gonna be able to like get it down and it's still food. And the idea being like this, the difference between, let's say what we spoke about until now, let's say pits, which were inedible and whatnot, things like that, is that the bats, they're not food. Pits are not food. If you have an animal that eats it, maybe you want to know if a person eats a pit, there's something weird with the guy. That's not people food. Meat, the pshat is that ba'atzim is people food. It's haksas for people food. If I could find any oifin that a person could eat it, then already it stays with the shame people food, and therefore it's not muksa. Flour, nobody could eat. Flour is muksa because it's not shayach. It's like eating sand. It's like eating baby powder. It's not negeya. Not again. And even if a person was in a terrible matziv, it's not again. It's not again. Mashenkin, if he was in a terrible matziv, so he would say, I have a choice of goose. I have a choice of basar behema. I'm choosing the goose. And therefore, that's enough to keep the shame of the people food. Before I continue, everyone understand? That's the pshat in the Magen Avraham. Mashenkin fish. Raw fish is ekeldik. We know already it has all types of dreadful diseases and whatever, but that's not going to be right because chicken also does, right? So I guess the pshat is, again, it's hard for me to talk because I'm not such a fish eater, but amongst the fish eaters let's talk about the non-sushi fish for a moment, okay? To eat raw fish, it's probably mamish noira ekeldik. It probably makes you vomit when you get it down. You're not allowed to answer anything. Hamshi, we're getting to you. 1 minute, right? We're getting there 1 second, right? But I'm saying, I think, am I wrong? Am I talking wrong? Right? Like to eat, what are the non-sushi fish, like carp or something, or? Perhaps my neighbor, but what? Who? Okay. What? Anybody? Carp? Sea bass. Sea lions. I don't know. Look at that, right? Right? I don't know. Can somebody else? Mackerel? Who? Mush? What? Oh my gosh, I knew it was going to be a hard day. During Mincha, I was crying to the Eibishter to help me. But what? All the above. Carp. Thank you. Carp, right? Carp. Sounds like a nice Jewish boy, right? Is everybody say carp? I'm in. Everybody say, carp. I imagine a person that would try to even eat carp, it would just like pashut vomit. Raw carp. I imagine that's what, Otherwise, I don't really fully understand the difference because maybe it's my Western civilized mind. I don't fully understand the difference. I'll be the first to admit. But let's go weiter. So now that's the Magen Avraham. So now the Rashba brings rayas not like this. The Rashba says first not like the Magen Avraham. Shtickle Pella on the Magen Avraham that he went against the Rishonim over here. But the Rashba, the Ran, they say it's a Mefurish Gemara in Chulin. What's the Mefurish Gemara in Chulin? The Gemara in Chulin talks about a person that they need to shecht an animal for a person on Shabbos. And the Gemara says, well, obviously for the sick person, it's Pekuch Nefesh, you're allowed to shecht. Are you allowed now to let a bari eat the raw meat, not the cooked, obviously, because you're not going to be allowed to cook for him. So the Gemara says over there that it's for the bari, it's chazi le'umtza. The bari is chazi le'umtza. Says the Rashba, you think that it's talking about dafka chicken? It says over there, they're shechting an animal. You think it's dafka chicken? So you see, even raw cattle is roi chazi le'umtza. Chazi le'umtza. What's the Magen Avraham going to do with that? What's the Magen Avraham? And again, and what would then the Rashba hold? I guess the Rashba is going to tell you, I don't know, you have a person, he's stuck, legamre. It's hard to go and say in 1942, right? But you get my point. If the guy's stuck legamre, he's not going to eat a tree, right? But mitzad sheni, will he eat raw beef? Yes. That's I guess raw fish. I would have thought he would eat that too, and not maven in these dachin. And vice versa. That's what the Rashi is telling you. If he this gersa, he would eat raw cattle. It's going to be very, very hard. Okay, so it's a little harder. It's all not normal, anyways. And that's what the Rashi is telling you. God, what's the answer to the Magen Avraham? The Rashi claims it's a Mefurish Gemara in Chulin. It's not a Mefurish Gemara. Maybe they shech the chicken. What's the Rashba's Raya B'Klal? Maybe they shech the chicken. Who says they shechted cattle? So he's saying stam. I don't know. The whole thing's a weird case. The guy's eating raw meat. He's already a weirdo. So who says we're not? And I'll say more. Comes again the Aruch HaShulchan. The Aruch HaShulchan is he's not by us. The Aruch HaShulchan is in Yeredeya, in Siman Samach Zayin. Over there, I was looking for something else, and I found this Davar Nifla. Over there in Aruch HaShulchan, I was looking for something Klapei Us with chewing. copy we spoke about yesterday. And over there in Yerdeya, in Siman Samach Zayin, in Sif Yod, he says, I don't know, he basically asks on the Rashba, what's the Rashba's right? He said, when you have somebody who's sick, what normally do you feed a person who's sick? You feed him a steak? You feed him a chicken. I mean, I don't know from these things, Baruch Hashem. That's what he writes. He says, what do you feed somebody that's a pekuach nefesh? I guess meat is too heavy or something. He says, so what's the Rashba's raya? But that's the Rashba. There's the Gemara, they bring another raya from the Gemara in Chulin Kufiyat Gimel. But again, these are things that by say that they're a little bit difficult. They're a little difficult to try to figure out. And let's assume that there is some kind of a machlekes over here. What exactly in the Metzias is lo barur. I would say everyone agrees that both these things people don't eat. Everyone agrees the goose meat is a little bit more edible. The raw meat of the behemoth is a little bit less edible. And there's a fight going on over here within that realm. That's basically what we saw yesterday. Now, sorry? Give me a moment. Now, the Aruch HaShulchan. Okay, now we start. Okay, so Mamela, now that's the machlekes. The Mishnah Berurah adds here words which definitely complicate life. Mishnah Berurah says, "Hainu sheyesh b'nei adam shedaitem yafa v'koises in basar chai." You should know there are people that actually eat raw meat. There are people that actually eat raw meat. Now I'm going to get back to that line because that line is intriguing. That is not the way so far I've explained the Magen Avraham and the Rashba, right? The Magen Avraham and the Rashba are both going chazi la'umtza, like the lashon of the Shulchan Aruch. Chazi la'umtza. It's edible. It's right to eat. And then my life was a little bit easier explaining this machlekes. He holds that goose meat is much more chazi. He holds that behemoth meat is much less chazi. And the Rashba says, what's the difference? They're both not really so chazi. And if it's doable, it's doable. Fish is not doable, and game over. That's how we explained it until now. Mishnah Berurah throws a monkey wrench, right? He throws a pashut monkey wrench here. Mishnah Berurah says, "Yesh b'nei adam daitem yafa," and they eat it. And they eat it, but they don't eat fish, raw fish. Okay. So if that's the case, it is very difficult because at least then in Radin, probably the Aruch HaShulchan tells me already. Also, nicht got mentioned was us. We don't have people that are eating this raw basar behema. We don't have people eating raw chicken. We don't have any of this stuff. It makes life somewhat difficult. Let's continue, and then I'll come back to it in a moment. I'll even say more. Comes again to Aruch HaShulchan. He says, today no one eats the stuff. Game over. Ben Ishchai, game over. That's it. It's raw meat, raw chicken, raw fish. All these things are moksa. Why? Because nobody's eating it. That's it. Right? No one's eating it. Sh'tikul kasha on the Aruch HaShulchan. The Aruch HaShulchan argues on the Magen Avraham. He holds, meaning within the Magen Avraham, he holds that we don't go like the Taz, okay? But I hold like the Rashba. Aruch HaShulchan paskins like the Rashba. He holds in Baghdad. He holds farm animal meat, tough farm animal meat. That's also chazi. And he says, but today in the Vardik, nothing's chazi. What does he mean? I mean, you're going with the Magen Avraham that anyways, nobody is really eating this stuff, but it's got to be epis that some people are roy to eat it or whatever. Right? You're going with that mahalach of roy probably. So I guess goose meat was a little bit more roy because it's a little more tender. The tougher meat is a little bit less, so therefore that's not enough. And the Aruch HaShulchan says, I don't care about that. Is it chazi? It's chazi. So who cares that nobody eats it? Who cares? If you're going with that mahalach, especially if you go with the mahalach of the Magen Avraham, I can understand. He's saying, no, chazi means like goose meat. It's tender. And not only that, I guess maybe it's even passable. I don't know what. So therefore today, no one does. But if you're going with the Rashba, no one is eating the stuff. I don't think there's the machlekes in the matzias. No one's eating the stuff. So he's saying, so today, mamish, nobody eats it. What and back later, I could put him dash state. I'm a little bit bothered about the idea, but that's dash state. Mishnah Berurah, still difficult. Mishnah Berurah says, "Hainu yesh b'nei adam shedaitem yafa v'koises in basar chai." I told you yesterday. He doesn't say, "Oh, today in Radin nobody does." It's mashma today that people do. Hainu sheyesh b'nei adam daitem yafa v'koises in basar chai, and he sounds like people actually eat raw meat. It's very interesting. People eat raw meat. It's not enough. You don't need a lot of people. He doesn't even say you need a meat. The pshat is we're trying to say, does it have the shame of people food? Did it lose the shame of people food? At kama, that it's oimid for people, and there's somebody out there that would eat it. So then it's enough that it's considered not muksa. That's all the Mishnah Berurah needs. But I need somebody eating it according to the Mishnah Berurah. And by fish, Mishnah Berurah says in the next sif, he says, fish, nobody's eating. Right? Nobody's eating fish. It's not right. Nobody can eat it. They don't even have the people that are the daitem yafa guys. They're not eating it. That's that adkan. So where do we go from here in Tachlis? Where do we go from here? So raw meat today. We'll start with raw meat today. We'll go like before we get to sushi, right? Raw meat today. So carpaccio, this is from a certain medrash, is the Italian term for raw beef fillet that's been thoroughly chilled, that's for sure, and sliced paper thin. It's been sliced paper thin. The slices are arranged on a plate, typically with some shaving of Parmesan. I mean the kosher brand. Parva. I'll just skip that part. Capers, I don't know what those are, I'm afraid to ask. Salt, pepper, olive oil, lemon juice, and simple arugula. I don't know what an arugula is. It can't be simple, but an arugula salad. What? Oh, rugula. Oh, shkaya. Arugula salad. But it's arugula. The olive oil and the lemon juice acidity cures the meat ever so slightly. It's a classic. Sometimes fish is served in the style of, well, we'll get to fish. Tartar is a general term for meat or fish that are chopped, minced, and mixed with a binding agent. Okay, is this raw? Yeah. Doesn't say it's raw. And finally, chopped onion. Doesn't say it's raw. One second. Beef carpaccio. Okay, same rate. Rare beef with a great result. Okay. Now, after reading through all of these shitas, all right, it seems to be that the basic idea is that, first of all, it seems to be that they would take the meat and they don't like cut it, right? After reading some of this literature, they don't seem to cut it thinly sliced. They seem to push it, beat it. They beat it down. Well, they use a rolling pin or whatever, or they use like a schnitzel beater or something. More yeshivish way you do it. You use like a rolling pin and you do it like that. That tenderizes it also. It also tenderizes it. Now there's different minhagim. Some have the anhaga that they take the raw meat and they leave it as a square, and they first do what we would call ke'ena maliga. They would boil the outside. They give with some type singeing the outside, searing. Oh, sorry. Okay, searing. But it does seem to be that that's our sheetas, that'll then, that'll eat. It seems to be there are those that are eating it fully raw. Right? Is everybody asking? After what I read over here, there are some that are eating it fully raw. There are some that are eating it somewhat processed. That's for sure, right? But there definitely are people eating raw meat. The one thing I don't have clear, it says beef. We're talking about just regular murdered cow. Now, this comes straight from Chamshi's fridge, right? What exactly is this? What is this exactly? What? This is steak. This is a steak that has been, what did you do to it? Because you didn't just murder the cow and take it here. No, so then I understand that it's just a raw steak. Right, and you're going to eat it? And people eat this. Yeah? Okay, who wants? Who wants? Would you like? This is raw murder. This is a cow that was just murdered. He's in your living room now, right? I'm saying, it's just straight raw meat. Straight raw meat. Okay, go for it. Let's go. Let's rock. I'll give you the alcohol to wash it down. Who wants to be flashing? Since you're shy of your flashing. Who has anybody want? You want some? Rabbi, aren't you from LA? Oh, this is North. Oh no, you're not allowed to have meat in the West Coast, no? All right, Baruch Hashem, you came here. Okay. Would you like some? Okay. Let's go. No, well, you don't know how important it is to me what he's about to do. What? Where are you going? Plates, forks. Let's go. Let's get to work. Okay. What? No, no. He's eating raw hot dogs in this room, but that's not a raya. That's not a raya. So then you just eat it straight. It's just raw meat. What? I'm saying, so why doesn't everybody just eat raw? What did you? What's it called? It's just regular raw meat. I'm just gonna eat it. That's it. And you sell it like that? Yeah. No, but people eat it like that. Like little bits, or like honey, what's for dinner here? You're telling me that's it. Just shecht it, salt it, and put it on the plate. No, you don't know how important this is to me. I want to explain to you something. Let me explain. Like I said, I'm fully aware that this carpaccio stuff exists today, and that people eat it. Okay, and it seems to be there's not much processing that's taking place, right? Not much processing. But listen, because it's the most unbelievable thing that's going to come out in halacha today. Chicken, nobody eats raw. Nobody eats raw, right? Yes? No. Okay. No. Nobody eats raw. Yeah, well, yeah. It's Michael Ben Drusai. But nobody eats raw chicken. No one eats raw chicken. No one eats raw goose. No one eats raw duck. Sounds like a game, right? No, nobody eats any of these things. Nobody eats these things, right? So, thank you. Bring it on. Get to work. Who's got you have a Tzalad's number? What? Abi, you ready? You ready? No, Hatzalah. I'm not kidding. Go for it. Let's go. You don't realize how important this is, because if he does this is, I'm going to tell you a nifla dikim shot in the Mishnah Berurah. I just need to see it. Wait, Rabbi say. You're about to see Yesh B'nei Adam Shedaitam Yafeh. You're about to see a Daitam Yafeh. Okay, right. Go for it. Baruch. You have to learn with him Zayim Zeder today. A bracha. With a lot of kavanah also, yeah? You made a shakol? You knew you were having it. You didn't know you have to make a bracha. On this, you have to make a bracha. This is breakfast in Ramat Eshkol. Baruch with all the kavanahs.
Rabbi, you cannot order this in any restaurant. No restaurant.
She sells it. You sell this too? No?
I don't sell this. You cannot order.
I can't believe this.
Rabbi, does he have a will?
Okay, with kavana, like Tkiyah Shaifer. No, Chazan is also a Chazan. No. Oh, man. How are you? Is he alive? He's alive. All right. So now let me tell you Pshat in Mishnah Berurah. Let me tell you Pshat now in the Mishnah Berurah. Chaim. That's good. You like it. I'm saying, but you like it. And chicken you wouldn't, right? No, that's weird. No. I don't want fights. Give some to Morty also. I don't want fights. Now, let me tell you Pshat and why that's nifla. So today, I remember I told you guys. So look, I had in Ramat Shlomo there's a butcher, like all places, they have a butcher, right? They have a butcher, and they're sending you brachas. They hope you're here tomorrow in the Kotel. Okay, in Ramat Shlomo there's a butcher, right? So I thought for sure this is the place to go, to find out, like with raw meat and all the zachin or whatever, right? So I went there today. No, I'm saying, that's where I figured, to do a little bit of lemaisidik. So I went there today, and I walked into the butcher, and I said to him, tell me, you guys are oisik and meat all day long. So mistama, you're my friend, that's what I can say to you. Mistama, like lick your fingers once in a while and something like that or whatever. Tell them, would you eat raw meat? He told me, what do you think I'm like this, like that, right? He said to me, but those guys, Yasir, right? Ahmed, right? These guys said halal meat, they pound the stuff. He said, I see them sometimes, what are you doing, right? He sees them sometimes like taking about like a toe, right? Sometimes. So I went to the next clever over here. I said, no, Yasir, his name is actually Ahmed. I said, Ahmed, at Alchel of Gamken? Ken, of Gamken? Ken, of Gamken. Wait. So that sounded weird to me. He says he doesn't know Hebrew, right? Right? No. Right? Only murdered cows, right? Now, why is this important? He's eating it. This is great. No, enjoy. Enjoy. I have a chavrusa for you, by the way. Enjoy. How much nachas ruach HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets from this koil, I can't tell you guys. Is Rabbi Isai? They eat it. I don't need. Wait, slowly, Rabbi Isai. I'm borer. This is pshat in the Mishnah Berurah. I'm borer. The Mishnah Berurah is telling you that there were always bits. And today it got a little bit more popular. Carpaccio got a little more popular, a little less popular. I'm borer. There was always times that there were people that ate it. I don't think it was Jewish people. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But I don't think it was Jewish. It was the Gemara says Hani Babloi and whatever. There were always people that potentially could do it, and it was somewhat normal. Now, if I'm right, and that's pshat in the Mishnah Berurah, I'm going to tell you davar nifla. Today, raw meat is not muksa. Raw chicken is yes muksa. And you know what else? It could be everybody will agree to this. This is maybe the biggest chiddush that was ever said in this room. Not my chiddush. I'm saying I never say chiddushin, but that's what just came out. Raw chicken is not chazi anymore. Not only is it that no one does it, all the shitas, not only does no one do it, but everyone's scared to do it. Rabbi say, this guy Ahmed, he eats toes, right? This guy Ahmed, you understand what we're dealing with over here? This is a guy who's married to his sister or his brother. Who knows? We're talking about Yasser over here. You know what we're talking about over here? And this guy told me, oh, chicken, no. Like, what am I asking him? You know, how dangerous chicken is. What are you talking about? Oh. He looked at me like, whatever. Your friends also don't eat it. What? Oh, the Taz. We still have the Taz. Yeah, it's true. We still have the Taz, 100%. I'm 100%. But I mean, klape within the sheet of the Magen Avraham. That means just one moment. That means all shitas within the Magen Avraham are going to say chicken is out and raw meat is muksa. I'm telling you, if the Aruch HaShulchan were alive today, the Aruch HaShulchan would tell you raw meat is not muksa. I'm telling you, if Rabbi Feinstein were alive today, he would tell you raw meat is not muksa. But they would all say, including the Mishnah Berurah, chicken is yes muksa. They would all say chicken. You know why? Because it's mamish not chazi. Because people are scared to death to eat it. Because they think salmonella. And this comes an unbelievable chiddush. You look at any muksa book, they'll tell you, when you're rummaging around, be careful with the chicken, the meat. I'm telling you, when you're rummaging around, be careful with the chicken. Okay, the Taz. I'm saying the Taz is only B'Shatzat Chag Gadol, and Mishnah Berurah is not making with the Taz alone. I told you a kula from Dayan Padva about the Taz. That's not the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah would hold that if the chicken would fall on the floor, the Mishnah Berurah would say, you got to take a loss. That's what Mishnah Berurah. If the chicken would fall out of the freezer, he would tell you have to take a loss. I'm going to tell you, if raw meat falls out of the freezer, I'm going to tell you, pick it up, put it back in. I don't even know. I can't tell you. This is the one thing I'm not clear, which I need the two of you. No one else is allowed to answer these questions except for these guys, right? Raw chopped meat. Right? Raw chopped meat, that also? No, chopped. It's mama chopped that you made the burgers into. No, ground meat. No, ground meat now. Ground beef now. Regular challah meat? Why? You mean it can't be the challah meat either. Challah meat is like the cubes like that. That no? What? Ground meat over there by you guys. By you, Manish? What, like for breakfast? What? Yeah. Okay. Really? Impressive. I didn't ask my friends over there about the ground meat. I didn't ask them about that. No, but those guys are pounding challah meat also. They're not just eating steak. What? No, those guys are pounding. No, the ground beef I don't know about. Because the ground beef, I don't know. Later. No, this is nafkamina. This is a trend, this is nafkamina. What? Sorry? Liver, they for sure eat raw, right? No, liver half the time is raw anyways, right? Liver, those guys don't even know you're supposed to cook liver. Liver? What? Those guys? Right? I could find him. Is Rabbi Sai? No, it's an unbelievable thing. Rabbi Sai. First of all, don't forget, most of the time, the liver that we're getting is definitely had some processing. Okay, obviously it could be fresh liver, I'm saying. But anyways, tachlis geret. Rabbi say, tachlis. Liver might have a bigger problem. Liver, I just realized, liver, if it's raw, fresh liver, it's not kosher. So liver, fresh, because liver has to have a processing done to it. You're not allowed to eat liver raw. What? No, so that's mamish muksa. What? I think my liver, raw liver, raw liver, I think you have to, am I making a mistake? I don't remember. After Chazam Licha, I think raw liver. Maybe I'm making a mistake. Raw liver. Maybe I have a yard there. I'll look inside. I'll look inside. I forgot. Because then it would be totally muksa. Something's treif is muksa. No, then it's muksa because it's not roy lachil. That's for sure. Treif meat is for sure muksa. No, it doesn't work like that. It has to be what it's aimed for. Whatever. But let me look after. It's a Abaisai. Okay. It's a real guy sugi, It's like a sugi for guys, But wait, Abaisai. Slow. This is enough kamina how you arrange your freezer. Okay, this. You make sure that the raw chickens are in the back because you don't want to rummage. Also, we're going to learn in Mitzvah Shem about the door. The door of your freezer, many places can hold that's called tiltul min hatzad, right? And you're not supposed to lechatchila. Sometimes people have on the door, you can have raw fish, raw meat, raw this. So, when you're arranging your fridge, your freezer, etc. So then we're going to learn if you're allowed to or not allowed to. But there are definitely poskim that hold the chatchila. You're not supposed to be having raw things on your door. It could be with the evid. You're allowed to open it because the door is not just being mishamish the shelves. It's also being mishamish the whole fridge or whatever. But the chatchila, you're not supposed to necessarily have on the door something that smokes. And we'll talk about this. But there's a tremendous nafkamina. That means, I'm going to be less bothered by a raw steak. I'm going to be less bothered by maybe even raw meat or whatever. It seems to be raw chicken I'm going to be much more bothered by. And I'm going to certainly be bothered by, it seems to be raw chopped meat. It seems I'll be bothered, it seems. And then that's l'chayra. Now, legabe fish. So fish is complicated. Now this is salmon, right? All of a sudden we're going to get a lot of eaters, right? Yeah. All of a sudden you see people, I'll be your cat, right? So this is raw salmon. This salmon was alive an hour and a half ago, probably, right? What? 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago. This salmon, she was alive 2 hours ago, and you did nothing but just take rice. The rice is cooked, right? Yeah, the rice is cooked, and all you did was put her straight onto the rice, right? That's that. Now, so now we know. Now, I have a question for my salmon friends over here. Is that all by fresh salmon, or even by frozen salmon? Frozen raw salmon. Frozen raw salmon. Stays the same. Okay. So basically, there's no shy. Wait, slow. Wait, slow. What? In order to make. I mean, it's lahedja being frozen anyways, whatever. Okay. What? Fresh. Okay. But Al Kapanim, we all agree here, raw salmon is edible, right? And this is totally raw. Nothing was done to it, right? Nothing, right? So raw salmon is definitely not muksa. Raw, what else do they use? For tuna. Raw tuna is definitely not muksa. Raw, totally raw I'm talking about now. Raw, no, tuna fish is processed. Tuna fish is cooked, absolutely not. Tuna fish is cooked. He's talking about raw, he's talking about flat. What? Sorry? Tuna steaks is totally not muksa, right? Today people are eating this stuff, right? Unbelievable. Mashiach, when are you coming? When? They've changed the Gemara already. When is he coming? If they changed the Gemara already, when are they coming? What? Yellowtail? That's the name of a fish or the name of a tail? What? Yellowtail? What else? Goodness. What? What else?
The Chinese eat octopus.
It's not wrong story.
Erev the lockdown. This year is about how Corona started. Right? What else? What other fish? No, this is really Negea Lemaisa. No joke. What other fish are they eating raw? No. What else? Rabbi Sai, I don't even need that you guys are eating these fish raw. I just need that it's like out there. It's herring they eat raw? No, herring they salt. Herring you can't eat raw. Sorry? I can't hear you. Yeah? Yeah, I know. You go to Hong Kong, it's true. Everybody say, a few months ago, there was a juke. How do you say juke? Cockroach, right? So the cleaning lady's there. I said, could you just get that? Could you just get that? As me and my wife were on top of the table, right? Could you just get that? Sure, no problem. With the hands, everybody says, sure, no problem. With the hand. I'm Borer, if we wouldn't have been there, right? Baruch, right? I'm Borer. They eat the stuff. There's no shaila. They eat it, bevadai, they eat it. What other fish? No. Kani? It's not a fish at all. It's fake news. Guys, that's not found in our freezers. I need things that are found in our freezers. I'm sorry, Morty. In your freezer. I'm sorry. What else? Bass. What? I just need a few people eating them. I need yesh b'nei adam shedaitem yafe. That's all I need. Rainbow trout. But so what not? Now I want to know what's in your freezer that not. No. Whitefish not, carp not. What? Tilapia? Is that what you said? Gefilte fish, a raw gefilte fish loaf. No, it's no joke. That's the only thing going in my freezer. A raw? What? I'm saying a raw gefilte fish loaf is probably totally inedible, right? What is it? It's totally not cooked. It's probably got in there, there's carp in there, right? What's in there? Whitefish, and it's probably not edible. It's a funny thing. It comes out a loaf of Yenem Unger's gefilte fish. I just gave him an advertisement, the guy, right? But the Yenem's fish, he's taka muksa. That loaf is muksa. It's totally inedible, right? You're not eating that stuff, right? No way, right? But so carp is out, whitefish is out, mackerel, is that kosher? I don't even know. Mackerel is out, right? But sardines are not. Sardines are processed, and anyways, we don't have raw sardines. No, they process them. They pickle them. It sits in oil for a long time. After a while, if you sat in oil for a long time, the hair would come off also. It's fine. Could you just eat? That's a bisli, What else? What other fish? No, this is very good. So now, this is the most to get thing. But don't forget, you still have that. So halacha l'maisa, dogs and cats are eating all the stuff. Cats at least are eating all the stuff. So we have yana heter of the tats. And klape, if people are eating it, I said today, the meat, it's an unbelievable thing. If Mashiach doesn't come now, when is he coming? It's unbelievable how the meat, the tough raw meat that the Magen Avram is screaming about, that avada, mutter according to everybody, it's not muksa. It's not muksa, Rabbi Yisai. It's not muksa. Even the Magen Avram would agree today. It's not muksa. Chicken, everyone's going to agree today is muksa chutz from the taz. Because nobody's eating it and people are scared to death to eat it. The fish, half the fish that you guys just mentioned are all not muksa because mention estes. The fact that you're not planning on doing that, I don't care. Whitefish and mackerel and carp, I think that was the ones we agreed upon. What was the other one? Was the other one? Gefilte trout. No, there was trout. Rainbow trout was edible raw. Regular trout is not. Oh man. Herring, does anybody have a raw herring? It's not really probably going to get a thing, right? All right. What? Raw herring that wasn't salted. And that probably you won't eat raw. No, you won't eat it raw. Ying. Chang. You'll eat herring raw. You'll eat herring raw? Without salt or anything? That's great. I don't need that many. I just need that. There's enough people. There's some people doing it. What? No, I can't be in the world. But like the guys that worked in the butcher, it was like pashut by them. I took off eyelid, it's totally normal. No, so China and India is a different planet and whatever, right? It's a different schmooze, right? Just ask Trump about that. Sorry? Tarnished. Arabs klape this. It's all I need to do. What am I doing over here? The lumdis is what the ikar is here. The lumdis is that we're not trying to take things which are not food and turning them into food, turning them into animal food. We're dealing with something which is people food, and we're trying to keep the dream alive. And we're trying to say, it doesn't have a shame food. Is it edible, epis? And everybody has his level. But everyone's going to agree that chicken is totally niche. And everyone's going to agree that definitely are people out there eating raw meat. You heard it today. You saw it today. Thank you very much, right? You saw it today. It's definitely not upgefrekt today. It's definitely not upgefrekt. There's no shiloh. Rabbi say, to say this. My life is changing. I used to be so careful with raw meat in the freezer. And I don't know if I'm even going to be careful anymore. It's upgefrekt. It's borrowed. It's borrowed that people are eating raw meat, right? Sorry? These guys are...
Very specifically, very thinly.
So what? So what? It's a process you're allowed to do on Shabbos. So what? You're not. There's no toichin on meat. You're allowed to go and roll it on Shabbos. There's no problem. You're allowed to do it on Shabbos. You're not doing it. I'm only trying to keep the shame of oichel on it. That's all I'm trying to do. And the fish, like you are today, I don't even know. It's going to be, in my freezer, I think the most we would probably have is like a tuna steak and salmon. That's probably the things I have in the feed. It's not muktzah. It's unbelievable. My life is changing. It's changing. Mashiach doesn't come now. When? What? Sorry? Yeah. Oh, so now, next, the last thing. We're supposed to do Graf Shabbat. We didn't learn a word today. All right, nobody move. One sec, shot. No one move. One sec. No, mamish, no moving. Good. Moving means lips too, right? Frozen food. Comes again, Shevet HaLevi. Listen closely, okay? Let's finish up this part of the thing. Shevet HaLevi comes along in the 3rd volume, in the 29th tshuva, in Gimel over there. And he says, nearly Pashit. What was Pashit to the Shevet HaLevi? Pashit Ma'oid. This is Pashit Ma'oid tomorrow in the Shevet HaLevi. Shevet HaLevi was the top 3 in the world, no Shiloh. Shevet HaLevi, the Shevet HaLevi. And the Shevet HaLevi, he says, Pashit Ma'oid, that if something is frozen, and he's talking about even cooked frozen food, he said, there's nothing to discuss, and it's muktzah. It's muktzah, it's hard as a rock, and you can't eat it, and it's muktzah, and everything we said today is batal and mavatal. Loy if it's raw. If it's raw. He says, even if it's not raw, if it's cooked. Even if it's cooked, because it's hard as a rock. This is tamua. It's pachad. I have pachad what I'm saying now, because if the Shevet Levi would have said it, no. But he says, pashit moed. I would never say it unless I asked Grace Gedolim. Rabbi Yashiv said it's pashit nisht. Rabbi Yashiv said pashit nisht. Now, loy mevai, if it's, you want to know you're on Friday night in your freezer. So Friday night in the freezer, if you take it out, it will defrost. And there's absolutely no problem defrosting it. There's no problem noilet. It's going from hard to hard. It's a solid, meaning it's going from an oichel to an oichel. It's not going into a liquid or whatever. So loy mevai, that if it's on Friday night, there's nothing to discuss. Even Shabbos day, there's nothing to discuss. All the way, what if you're like an hour before the end of Shabbos? You're half an hour before the end of Shabbos. But that's the pashtus is, the shame oichel is there. The shame oichel is there. It's a very, very big chiddush, the Shevet HaLevi. Very big chiddush. Sorry? Just a moment. The Shama Yehuda, in Ches Beis, he brings from Rabbi Yashiv differently than I just said. I heard it from Rabbi Yashiv, I don't know. He says Rabbi Yashiv was mekel until the point of where it wouldn't be edible. In other words, he's mekel all the way until, I don't know, whatever, an hour before the end of Shabbos, whatever the number is, I don't know, right? But, until like an hour before the end of Shabbos, let's say, so then it can't possibly be edible, right? But this is a big chiddush. We're trying, Rabbi saying no one is eating the meat anyways. Nobody's eating, at least in my house, I'm sorry, right? Nobody's eating this raw fish anyways. All I'm trying to figure out here is this thing considered something that's chazi. It's chazi. So until an hour before the end of Shabbos, is mamish nothing to discuss, right? Now, with an hour until the end of Shabbos, the fact that right now I have to wait till something defrost, that doesn't have a shame oichel on it though? Because right now no one can eat it. What? What's this maxa? What's it talking maxa? Why maxa? A maxa because it's raw meat, I'm not eating it either. What's a maxa? Why? You want to say because he did a dachi b'dain by putting it in the freezer? Like chazi? It means because then that's when you're going to cook it. But the difference is pashit. The difference is that this is something that in the state right now, it is chazi on Shabbos. The only nitin I can hear is about the last hour. Is that what you're asking? The only Nidin, and he says that he heard from Rabbi Yashiv, not the way I heard from Rabbi Yashiv. So that I hear. I'm not going to argue on the last hour. I don't know what the number is, I must admit. I'll just tell you a very interesting thing. First of all, if I take raw meat, how long does it take to defrost raw meat? How long? What? How long? Like an hour? No. Wait. Slowly, Kinderlach. Slowly. I don't want that the whole thing should be totally rubbery and whatever soft. I want to know on the outside layer to chop for Rabbi Chaim Shmuel over here. He just wants it to be on the get a sliver off the top over there. How long would it take to get that sliver off the top? After like an hour. No, after an hour it's already. Why not? No, but I got to cut off a piece for you. Why? The outside layer? Okay. What if I take it and I put it? Wait. What if I take it and I put it underwater? 20 minutes? I just need the outside layer. I need to give you something to eat. An hour. Okay. What if I take it and I put it into a kli shlishi? Kli shlishi. It's like 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. 45 minutes? Really? 45 minutes? I think less. Okay. So you know what, Rabbi Sai? The last half hour. Because I have no problem doing that on Shabbos. There's no issue to do that. You're allowed to put meat in a kli shlishi on Shabbos. I don't know the truth is you can do it in kli sheni also. I just don't want to get involved in tzveikus and whatever. Fine. So kli sheni you be more makel because then it'll help me out. Kli sheni 145 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Yeah. Okay. So now we're talking. So and how long? Like 30 minutes, half hour. Okay. So the whole shaila here is a half an hour. The whole shaila here is a half an hour. For half an hour, I'm giving in. For half an hour, I'll give in, even though I don't agree, but I'll give in for half an hour. Now, but Lagabe cooked raw food? Raw food. Lagabe cooked meat, which is frozen. You take her, everyone knows, you take cooked meat that's cooked and it's hard as a rock, you put it inside a kli shlishi or whatever, 5 minutes. How long does it take to make it edible? I just need it edible, Rabbi. I just need it edible. The Evan Yisrael, Dayan Fisher, the great Dayan of the Badatz, so they asked him a shayla, the Mor Shabbos, he asked him Epis, he asked him, are you allowed to use Valecha Mishnah bread? That's frozen bread. He said, no, Avadana, hard as a rock, Avadana. Doesn't have a shame of bread or whatever. Now, God, everyone knows that when it comes, who likes taking cake and putting it in the freezer? Who likes that? And then eating it when it's, does anybody like that or no? Come on, you can raise your hand. Listen, pick up your hand. I know you, right? You also do it, right? You do it? Gershon, thank you. No, you're not talking about like Ishmael. No, not even if I do the wafers and Zachen, brownies and Zachen or whatever. Cookies. So I got a challah. I'm just saying, no one's doing this, but challah is the same edibility. It's the same edibility. You do it, you cut through, you take a meat cleaver and you cut through. It's doable. We've had stories in the past when maybe the Rebbitzin told the rabbi to put the challah on and the rabbi forgot and whatever, he said, no, I like frozen challah. I love frozen challah. I miss my teeth, but I love frozen challah, whatever. It's up. But my point is, he asked Dayan Fisher, is challah, you're allowed to use it for lechem? She said, no, vadanar, no. Kids are another place, they write that you could. So the Mor Shabbos, Rabbi Yadler, he said to him, you're a steer. He said, look, I didn't have a freezer. Fancy people. Who has a freezer? Fancy people. He said, so they told me you put the thing in their freezer, it becomes hard as a rock. So they're not a rock, I don't know. So then I got a freezer. I guess he got a broken one, right? But then I got a freezer. And I say, it's all fake news. But it doesn't get so hard. It gets crazy hard and whatever. So he says, a challah in a freezer, das heißt nicht ois challah, it's not ois. I think it's the same thing with any processed food, any cooked food. Raw might be a little bit more, but upon him, cooked food by me is no shaila. There's no shaila that cooked food in the freezer is definitely not muktzah. I won't give in even on the last half hour. But upon him, the last half hour, if you guys are going to fight me, I'll give in even though I don't understand. It has a shame of oichel. It definitely is called chazi. The fact that I can't eat it right now, I don't understand it. But anyways, I just want to finish with something, even though we didn't start today, Derech Hagad. This never happened. In the history of this year, it never happened that we didn't even start. No, mamish, that we were supposed to start Graf Shalrei from the beginning of this year. We didn't even start. Right? That's for us very impressive. But Ramosha in Hey Chav Beis Lamed Hey. Now I want to just say one last thing about this tshuva and then we'll stop. Ramosha Hey Chav Beis Lamed Hey. He says over there, this where did this tshuva come from? If it's in Hey Chav Beis, who knows where it comes from? No, well, Ches obviously, but where does it come from? Rabbi Badner's Muksa book, right? So I can tell you some very interesting thing. This tshuva is in the list of tshuvas that Rabbi Badner's book over there. There's a bunch of tshuvas. They're all from Rabbi Badner. This one is not in Rabbi Badner's book. Right? I need like some background music. Dun, dun, dun. So you're about to get very interesting over here, right? It's not in the book. It's not in the book. Okay. And it says something absolutely weird. I have no better way of saying it. It's absolutely interesting. No, I was joking about the music, right? It's absolutely weird, right? And it's not in the book. So first of all, I called up Rabbi Badner and I said to him, it's not in the book. What's going on here? Conspiracy, right? It's a conspiracy. So he said, it's not in the book because he never said it. I don't know where this came from. And as it's in the list of tshuvas over there, something's very off over here, very interesting. And in the book, he says pum fakert. In the book, Rabbi Badner, he says pum fakert over there. He seems to say that raw is not a problem. I'm sorry, not raw. Frozen is not a problem. Frozen is not a problem. And over here, he says like this. He says that if you have frozen cooked food, it's muksa if you didn't plan on having it on Shabbos. That's like a gather of a dachyei biyadayim. It depends. If you plan on having it on Shabbos, then not. If you don't plan on having it on Shabbos, then that's kain a dachyei biyadayim because you put it in the freezer to not be on Shabbos. That's what he says there. This is a big chiddush. It's a big chiddush. I don't know. Rabbi Badner in his book, he asked him the question, and Moshe said not like that. He said frozen food is not muksa. And over here, this isn't found. I don't know what exactly went on here, and this is one of the many questions I have on those tshuvas. This one is very interesting. They bring it down there on the list. I don't know. So therefore, halach l'maisa, raw meat is not muksa. Raw fish is, depending which type of fish, is the ones that are edible, not muksa. The raw fish, which is totally inedible, and people don't eat them. So then the Taz would hold it's not muksa, and therefore it's only mamish asat chak, but definitely not to be rummaging around with it. Maybe if it falls on the floor, you could be saying on the daz, whatever, which is a chiddush. The Mishabura is not like that, you should realize, right? If the freezer breaks, just keep it closed. Raw chicken, stay away, don't rummage. If it falls on the floor, something like that, do you have the taz? Each one has to know if you could be saying the taz. Mishabura is mashu, you shouldn't be saying the taz. Maybe do it with a shino. It's very hard. It's very hard to take a raw chicken and pick it up with your, with your feet and everything. I mean, the thing used to be alive, right? It's not so easy. It's not shaped in a specific way. It's not so easy to get this guy back into the fridge. That's raw. Raw gefilte fish loaf, checkmate. Raw challahs and raw cooked foods is for sure not muksa. And even until the last 5 minutes of Shabbos, maybe ulai raw meat in the last 10 minutes before Shabbos. Ulai, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe ulai, I don't know. But what else is there? Raw beans and raw barley and things like that is not edible. Raw rice, it depends, but because a lot of times it's the rice is already like the minute rice and stuff, which has already been cooked and it's taka edible. But if it's totally raw, those things are totally muksa. Totally muksa. What? Potato raw? What? What? Raw potatoes? You eat raw potatoes? You eat raw potatoes? Your poor mother. Oh my goodness. You eat raw potatoes? Really? Raw potatoes? You eat raw potatoes? Raw. What, French fries that are raw? Oh, those ones I think are already cooked, no? I think they're a little cooked. He means in the bag, in the freezer, right? Those guys are a little bit cooked, no? What? And people could eat them? Where's Rabbi Hershel? You eat those stuff, no? What? Do people eat it? Could you eat it raw? Do Bachram eat this stuff raw? That's what I want to know. What? The soy dogs, the Bachram eat those things raw, I think, no? No, not hot dogs. Hot dogs, if you sure eat raw, we saw it in the Kallus, right? some you're supposed to cook them? Right? Lamb? Raw lamb, I don't know, ask these guys. He won't eat raw lamb. They won't eat raw lamb, right? No. He just said no.
If he ate that,
No, he won't eat raw lamb. So lamb, that's a good one. Raw lamb is muksa. Raw duck you won't eat, right? Fowl game, not his game. Okay. Raw fowl, he's not going to eat. Okay, so I don't know. You guys, you have to go learn because we didn't do anything today. So go learn. What? Onion rings? No, raw onions you could eat. Oh, I'm coming in today. I'm coming upstairs if anyone